And it's not even revealed that the alligators have been laying eggs in their victims.
Because alligators don't do that.
Well, given the strange things alligators do in this movie, I was almost willing to believe it. Hi, I'm Vernon and this is Kit and we just watched Crawl. Kit, what did we just watch?
It's a bit hard to say, but I would consider this maybe a mix of Aliens, Jaws, and more obscurely, Hard Rain.
I would describe the film as a creature horror film that's set in a confined space
One location.
or a limited location, because it's strictly speaking not one location. It's man versus nature in the form of hurricane season, and it's also man versus nature in the form of killer alligators.
If you're a movie buff interested in the movie business, this is one of those low budget, single location or like constrained location movies. Movies such as The Purge or Paranormal Activity or even Shyamalan's Split. These were purposely made mostly in one location in order to keep costs down. So overall, from business viewpoint, that's what a Crawl is.
A supposedly low budget film that, because of Sam Raimi or some other reason, cost what?
17 million US dollars.
Compared to 3 million for The Purge and 9 million for Paranormal Activity.
That's because this was actually quite effects heavy movie for the alligators, and
The hurricane, a lot of flooding,
a lot of water, yeah.
a lot of rain, and a lot of wind.
Which looked good, and mixed together with the alligators, probably a mix of practical effects, animatronics, and of course computer generated images. It looked good.
Considering the fact that more than half the movie or more than 2/3 of the movie is set in a basement of a house that's been flooded and infested with alligators.
I mean, you don't question the believability.
Yeah, why go to the basement of a house when it's flooded during hurricane season and you see lots of alligators? There's a really good reason in this film for it.
The story is that the alligator dragged the father down into the crawl space, and then the daughter followed to rescue him.
And it turns out there's more than one alligator in the basement, but we'll get to that later.
The whole movie is basically the father and daughter fighting off these alligators while trapped in their house.
In the basement of the house, which is about to get completely flooded and will drown them.
Within the constraints of this, they told a pretty decent story.
Yes, even though this is definitely a genre film, it is very tightly paced, has very little flab around it.
Mercifully short. I mean,
Hour and 30 minutes about, including credits.
so it didn't feel draggy at all. They just had a story to tell, they told it, finished it, got out. I respect that.
Of course, there has to be some character development for us to like or be invested in protagonists. So here it is. Our protagonist is a college swimmer on a sports scholarship. She's gone back to rescue a dad who's kind of fallen off the wagon since his divorce.
And the father and daughter have this kind of history where they were close when she was young and he was her swim coach, but now their relationship is a bit strained, and she herself is struggling to be the champion swimmer, so she's feeling like kind of a bit of a loser because she hasn't been winning her races. And obviously her swimming ability is useful in the middle of a hurricane in a flooded house.
Or out swimming alligators.
But somehow the payoff didn't seem like really worth it.
It's a very confined space, so actually there's not much for her to swim in the first place.
I mean, even if they didn't build her up in the beginning as a competitive swimmer, the story still would have worked. You know, they didn't really need like some really super swimming ability from her to save the day.
Actually, you can tell there was a lot of heavy body double usage because the actress herself does not have the shoulders or the build of a long-time competitive swimmer. But in certain action scenes, you can see suddenly her shoulders have bulked up.
You can tell which of us is the ladies' man here. I didn't notice. I'm proud to say. This is a rather strange movie because it was entertaining. It was well made, but somehow it seemed kind of pointless. There was like no real unique idea, like The Purge or even Paranormal Activity. The Purge was the idea, the whole setup, the idea that you had one night where any crime was permitted. So how would that unfold?
So it became a home invasion film.
Yeah, but the background behind it was
Interesting.
that was the appeal of these constrained location movies, and that was also, I think, the reason why M. Night Shyamalan went into this kind of genre when he was making his comeback after his series of failures.
I'm also reminded of M. Night Shyamalan's horror movie, where he had 4 or 5 people trapped in a lift together, and one of them is the devil. I would actually compare Crawl more to films made by Chris Sparling. He made another 2 very limited location movies. One was set exclusively inside an ATM lobby where 4 people are stuck and a serial killer seems to want to kill them off using the ATM lobby. The other one was Buried, which was shot almost entirely exclusively in what looked like a coffin, because the protagonist was literally, as the title suggests, buried alive when he was taken captive in Iraq.
Oh, actually, there are a lot. I mean, so you've got like a room with Captain Marvel, right?
Brie Larson.
And you have there's also like
Jodie Foster's Safe Room, right?
oh yeah, but that was I think rather a large budget movie.
Yes, but single location.
Yeah, there's also like The Wall with Kick-Ass, about these 2 soldiers being pinned down by a sniper in Iraq.
Oh yes, and almost the entire movie was just them in a single spot, just like Buried. No matter how well made they are, they sometimes tend to come off as a bit contrived because of the situations in the script that are cooked up to sort of ensure that the protagonists are stuck in that one very tiny spot for that movie, and I did not get that kind of contrived feeling in Crawl.
And the good news is that even though most of the action takes place around the house, they are not stuck in the basement, in the crawl space forever. And about halfway through the movie, a lot of bystanders get killed by the alligators, so that kind of raises the stakes. You kind of feel like, oh, okay, people can die.
Yes, people can die and people get eaten alive by alligators. Plot twist.
But technically, alligators don't really attack people like sharks.
Although this film tried to do the Jaws thing with the alligators, really.
The realistic alligator attack is the one they showed at the end, where they keep on like spinning around and try to drown you.
Yeah, in real life, alligators drag you down to the seabed and try to suffocate or drown you.
Oh, riverbed,
sorry, yeah. And they don't eat you immediately, they keep you around and...
Yeah, they don't really, I think, bite your arm off or anything. Yeah, they just try to hold you underwater and drown you.
So from that viewpoint, the alligator is slightly dodgy, but I think I'm keen to forgive this because it kind of looks scary for a horror film.
But it just throw you out of the story a bit if you're aware of this technical detail. I think they could have done more of the characters. For example, in Hard Rain from 1998 with Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater, they had this, it was about a heist of an armored car set during not a hurricane, a flood. The dam broke or something. But Morgan Freeman's character was interesting, even though he was the bad guy. He didn't want to kill people, from what I remember. So he actually ended up helping Christian Slater and turning against his own men.
Yeah, but it's a man versus nature film, whereas this one is kind of straight up man versus nature. There is no compromise needed. Yeah, the thing is, because of who the protagonists are, basically a very driven athlete and a very driven and stubborn father, their solution is basically to be a driven athlete and a stubborn dad.
No, even if they were not built up as driven athlete and stubborn dad, they were just presented as normal people. They still could have behaved the same way. The story still could have played out the same way, and you wouldn't have noticed that there was anything missing.
Except that the characters would come off even more flat. To level with you, we watched this film because for me it was Sam Raimi, the producer. I went to watch expecting lots of blood and gore because it's Sam Raimi, and also the director did the remake of Hills Have Eyes.
I did enjoy the integration of the special effects with the live action. It really shows you what is possible now, even on a low budget. It was like maybe even better than the first Jurassic Park. I mean, the first Jurassic Park, it's quite obvious sometimes. You can see, like, okay, the dinosaurs in the background, those are CGI, and then when they're interacting with the people, they're like animatronic or some kind of puppet, you know. But in this movie, they just look like real alligators, you know?
So maybe we can thank Sam Raimi for this, because he's been making Ash vs Evil Dead for the past 4 years, I think.
But if you're a Sam Raimi fan, this is not he produced this movie. This is not your typical Sam Raimi movie.
Or Sam Raimi horror. I would say that it only bears Sam Raimi's production quality.
Sam Raimi is more creative. He has original ideas, and he's also a bit more offbeat, especially in his humor.
I think he roped in his production team maybe for this. That's why it's got that low budget and really good effects.
In Aliens, when Ripley goes to the Queen's nest, I mean, there's really a lot of tension there, and there's a lot of payoff in terms of the subsequent action. Whereas here,
our protagonist discovers a nest of alligator eggs in her basement.
and that's it. And nothing much happens after that. She just goes on her way.
And it's not even revealed that the alligators have been laying eggs in their victims.
Because alligators don't do that.
Well, given the strange things alligators do in this movie, I was almost willing to believe it. From a technical viewpoint, this is actually very, very watchable and interesting. From a storytelling viewpoint, not really.
It feels like a TV movie. It's like entertaining, but really nothing really groundbreaking, especially story-wise.
Effects-wise, this is more of an evolution, very slow evolution in low-budget filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, if you like remember like the first Jumanji or even Twister, you can see like the animals there don't really interact with the actors, whereas this one does. It's very seamless. If you're stuck on a long flight and this is one of the movies and you got really nothing to do, yeah, it's just, I would watch it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. You won't be bored, it won't be a waste of your time.
And it's mercifully short. Well, that's it from us.
We'll see you next week.
Bye!